Political analyst Levy Ndou is on the line to share his thoughts on some of what came out at the weekend. A very good evening to you and thank you so much for speaking to us. Sir, let's just first start with what do you make of not only the timing of the NEC meeting just weeks before the National ANC conference, the fact that it's the first in-person one. There obviously were some weighty issues and some would have said expected outcomes when we look at the Integrity Commission report that was not released because of the reported leak.
Good evening, Tsepiso. Good evening to the viewers at home. Well, I think the timing for the meeting is quite perfect for me in the sense that you require to be quite sure that everything is up to speed. Make sure that in terms of all the arrangements for conference, everything is perfect, so that if there are screws that are supposed to be tightened, you actually have to do so. We had high expectations for the Phala Phala issue to be tabled, and unfortunately that could not happen. And I'm aware that most people might be quite disappointed that nothing has not been discussed at the NEC meeting. It is, of course, the first meeting after a very, very long time that members of the NEC would meet in person. And I think it's also an indication that we appear to have moved forward on and leave the matters of COVID-19 behind us. But maybe it should have been a moment for ANC members to look at each other on their faces and ask the question that says, where are we taking this movement? Or identify areas that will strengthen the ANC. Because in my view, the ANC appears to be at its weakest at this stage.
And let's look at what is weakening the ANC. The ANC Deputy Secretary General Hopeful Nomvula Mokonyane, as we just saw, spoke about factionalism, that there are some people who are insincere in their pursuit of not only particular leadership standards, but in terms of policies that ought to be pursued. But the fact that you had some of those ANC NEC members who are saying they're not happy with the kind of explanation the president gave, including Mokonyane herself, who kept on reiterating that the president gave his version of events. So there's obviously a trust deficit, but as we often hear about the concept of collective leadership, where does it begin and where does it end, particularly in such a highly contested environment?
The ANC knows the factors that are weakening it. The ANC is aware that the members of society, South Africans in general, are worried about corruption that is being done by members of the ANC. Equally, the leniency of the ANC towards perceived or corrupt members within its ranks. It's one factor. Factor number two, factionalism within the ANC. It's one other thing, in my view, which is seriously destroying the ANC. Beyond elections or beyond a conference, ANC members appears to be unable to accommodate each other, especially those who have been contesting each other. We've seen that happening way back from Polokwane. We've seen that happening beyond Nasrec. And ANC members would treat each other not as comrades anymore, but they treat each other as enemies. members of the ANC have a lot of energy to criticize each other rather than building each other and correcting each other. So that is one other area, in my view, that the ANC has to deal with. But also, the ANC has been given the responsibility by the people of South Africa to run government. And there are many, many areas where the ANC is failing, and they don't appear to be interested in dealing with those areas. The SOEs in South Africa are collapsing in the hands of the ANC. The ANC is allowing its own leaders to collapse municipalities and not providing services. And that is an area, in my view, that the ANC has to focus on quality in leadership and not just give South Africans any other person who has no potential to deliver. Those are basics, in my view, that the ANC has to deal with. But one would expect that as they meet as leaders of the ANC, they need to be very frank with one another. And of course, issues of leadership, as outlined by Nomvula Mokonyane, are issues that ANC members themselves have to sit down and reflect on the kind of leadership that they actually need. And my other view is that apart from the democracy that is being practiced, which the ANC fought for, it appears as if democracy has become an enemy of the ANC, in the sense that the manner that it is being practiced, it has actually become very destructive to the country.
We are running out of time, and I need to ask you this. There was conversation about constitutional amendments, especially with regards to the delegates. And I mentioned this because if we're going to talk about a particular type of cadre who is well positioned to take up this challenge of leadership, of integrity, but serves the will of the people, and I'm talking about outside of the party, how do such decisions influence the outcome? Because what is the litmus test? What the needs of society at large are, or what the ANC's own policy document dictate? Because you have papers such as Through the Eye of a Needle, which have long advised on what type of cadre or the quality of cadre that is needed to face the contemporary challenges.
The ANC has done a lot, and in particular in 2012, when they have to celebrate a centenary, to attract many people within its ranks. But my view is that the ANC has not done well in doing political education work and ensuring that the people that join the party are well schooled and educated about the principles of the party and ensuring that the party does what is actually required. That is why the document that talks about Through the Eye of the Needle is there, is still very relevant, but unfortunately you still get leaders elected in positions of responsibility who cannot even go through an open door. So that document is there, and in my view is quite relevant, but it is up to the ANC members themselves who would still defy what is actually outlined in that document. My other view is that you don't need too many people. Of course, you need a lot of supporters. The fewer the better, as long as they are in a position to ensure that the policies of the party, the coherence of the party is maintained. And if they want the ANC to continue to be the leader of society, they should actually focus on those that are actually committed in the cause of the party, and then they'll then be able to attract more other people as long as the work is done by the book and in the best interest of the party itself.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. Much appreciated. Political analyst Levy Ndou sharing his thoughts on the outcome of the ANC NEC meeting. Of course, that is ahead of that 55th National Elective Congress.